Hi.
Yeah, I don't know if we should ever say anything because that makes the weird pictures at first. Hi, it's Farm Talk Friday and we're live.
That's right, it's Friday, February 4th. I'm Ken Jordan. This is my beautiful wife, Giovanna. We're here at the Green Wave House in Costa Rica.
Yes, that's all you need to know.
Doing it every Friday.
That's right. And today we have the weird feature on where we're backwards to ourselves, and so there might be some confusion as we try to explain things or show things.
Everything's fine.
But the reason why we have that feature on is because we wanted to show Ken's new shirt for our friends organization that we will actually talk about some other day because we have lots of things to talk about this Farm Talk Friday. So we're going to start out by just kind of showing you our booty from the week. We have, it's actually quite heavy, these root vegetables.
We already ate half of this week.
Yeah, and this is as big as it looks. Okay, here's that weird thing. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So this is yuca. And I'm seeing some hearts being thrown up already. Hi, Laura.
Most of the yuca looks more like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
This one is a particularly heavy one. You could be doing exercises with this. And it might be good for exercise, right? Because they're an excellent source of carbohydrates.
That's right.
And then we have our beautiful camote.
This is
sweet
potato. And this is
yams.
Not yams, and this is an orange meat sweet potato. This one's got purple skin. It's delicious. There's also an orange skinned orange meat.
Okay.
Camote.
Yeah, we've talked about those before.
I know it. We're done with that.
We just wanted to show you what we got from the week. And this is our little cheesy smelling noni that needs to be drank probably right after we get off our live. And then we actually have all of this as well. Excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Look at all of this. So it's really exciting, when you have all this stuff come up and you get to harvest it, but it also means
you have to process it.
That's right. It means you got a lot of work. So anyways, this will be fun. We'll figure it out. Again, sorry, I'm how do I get myself back in frame?
Yeah.
Love this feature. Okay.
Yeah.
This is old microplastic beach cleanup art that I've made before over the years. Might need a redo. And I'm just stalling really because we have some sad news in our family. So I didn't want to talk about it last Farm Talk Friday before we left. We were leaving on a little trip, which we will probably talk about next Farm Talk Friday.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I'm it was too much. So now we're going to tell you. So, it's so hard.
Oh, hey.
I know. So we were joking around. If you're new to Farm Talk Friday, we've, a lot of people have loved these because of the chicken adventures, everybody loves chicken. So anyway, we had, a batch that we first got, and then, many turned into roosters, it seemed, and then we got some new girls. We even got a new one last night that we'll tell you about. But anyway, when we found out that two of them were for sure roosters, we separated them from the girls. So Ken seems like it's still important to him. I've realized it's not as important to me anymore, but we were separating them partially because, they can be a little aggressive with the women, and then it leads to fertilized eggs, which is more a problem for me, I think, because I am more vegetarian than Ken is. And so I was just thinking that it was, maybe I don't want to eat fertilized eggs. I'm happy to eat eggs. I don't know if I want them fertilized. And I can talk about that some other time of what that whole thing is about. So anyway, we separated them. And so we called these two brothers, I mean, and they were so bro-y. They hung out together all the time. They were these twins, and they would walk around. We called them the Devil Boys. And they were super funny, and they would just cock-a-doodle-doo. And especially around feeding times, they would come up to the house because they knew that the people that fed them lived here. And they would come and make their presence known. And so anyway, we had built them a separate rooster house. And there's a cute little bird like trying to say hi at the window as we're doing this. Anyway, maybe it's Hero.
It's the ghost.
It's the ghost of Hero. So anyway, like I had shown a picture. I had taken a picture like a few weeks ago, and there was like a scratch mark on the door. And I was like, wow, okay, like something at night like came by and scratched their door. And obviously, I mean, we live in like a jungle, and we live right next to a ravine. And so we do a movie night on Tuesdays, and we have like a certain chicken routine, and we feed them at a certain time. And then like when it gets darker, then we kind of like secure things a little bit more. So the boys would walk up to their house and just kind of be in there for the rest of the night after they had their last feeding. And so there had been times before when we had not closed the door. I'm sure you know where this is leading to. And so somewhere in the middle of the movie, our neighbor and friend says, "Hey, there's a chicken underneath the house." And I said, "What?"
Yeah, at this time of the night, there should be no chickens under the house.
No, there should be no chickens under the house, because when they like to like go to sleep or whatever it is that they're doing. They don't really sleep that well actually, but whatever it is, they do that at night. Like they, hibernate kind of, sort of. It's not the right word either. I don't know what it's called. There's got to be a word for it with like super chicken people, but
They roost, right?
they roost. Yeah, I don't know. They stop walking around. They like to hang out in their little roosting areas. So one of them was underneath the house. We stopped the movie. I ran out of the house. I come around. I'm looking under there, and I'm like, oh no. I'm like, Annie's wet. So I don't know if he had like run into the pool. I don't know what happened to make him wet, but there's only one. And so that obviously got me walking up to the rooster house. And the rooster house it looked like a superhuman hybrid chupacabra had lifted the rooster body. I mean, it's heavy, this thing, out of the tree and like placed it, like twisted it and placed it down. So the door was like opposite, but it was like upright. It was off the nails. This thing was big or strong, or I don't know what it was, but I mean, this is like your worst nightmare, right? Like having brothers, I don't know, like or a friend get pulled out of the night. You're just trying to rest, and then your predator comes and like grabs one of you and drags you off into the jungle. I mean, I really can't imagine anything worse than this. So
we did not find the other one. We just found a bunch of feathers.
Yeah. That was
So
Hero.
That was Hero, and that was a couple of weeks ago.
No, like a week ago.
Okay.
It was last Tuesday. Not this past Tuesday, the Tuesday
Okay, like
before.
10 days ago. It was like 10 days ago.
Okay. But not a couple weeks.
Okay.
So,
one and a
yeah.
half weeks ago.
Okay. So we knew that, and that's been very sad. And we were going to come back from our little trip and do a service for Hero, and we will still be doing that. But unfortunately,
So we thought it was a night problem. We thought we had a night predator. That's when chickens are grabbed a lot of time, was at night. And so we were still allowing Poe, our other rooster, to walk around in the daytime.
because he's a free spirit, and he deserved to wander free, is what I thought.
And so we went out of town for a few days.
Yeah.
And then
Thanks, Lisa.
and then Giovanna got a message.
Yes. So Jason, who works for us, then he watches the house when we're gone. He felt really bad, and he sent me a message just after the lunch feeding saying, "Hey, they were fine this morning, but I came, to feed Pinguino ... and feathers." Like, oh no. So 2 in 1 week, and Pinguino is kind of like one of my favorites. Like definitely my favorite chicken out of them all. But at the same time, I mean, he was Shakti's companion. I bought him for Shakti, so when she was healing, she had a friend and that she could pick on, so she wasn't the one feeling like, I just thought it would boost her morale, and I think it did, because she saw this little thing running around. She was actually able to walk fully before she lost that ability again. And so Pinguino was so sweet to her, and he was so loyal and just like hung out with her until she died. And then when she died, I thought, like we couldn't introduce him to the rest of them because he didn't grow up with them, and then that would be 3 roosters together. And so I just decided that he would wander free. And you know that there's a possibility, but you think like during the day that it's the odds are less. And I guess it was his time to go. He was very sweet, but I do have a little bit of remorse or guilt in that, and I haven't told you this, but so Pinguino was going through this phase. So right before we found out he was a rooster, which was only like 2 weeks ago, we weren't sure, and I wasn't sure if he was like going through heat, like as a female, or if he was turning into a rooster. I couldn't tell until he did his first song that I heard anyway. Delvin was convinced that he was a rooster the whole time by picking him up by his beak when he was really little, and he flapped his wings and he's like, boy. But Jason was like, no, he's a girl. So I don't know how accurate people are, with identifying chickens until you actually know. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. I just
felt guilty about something.
Oh yeah. Okay. So Pinguino was starting to like have hormones, and he started to attack me. Like my favorite sweet little angel chicken was going through this phase of like wanting to attack me. And like, this is probably how some parents feel when their kids turn into teenagers, maybe. Maybe this is how it is. Like all of a sudden, like you go from angel to a complete shit, like overnight, over a course of days to weeks. You're like, who are you? You're this monster now. And there was a couple times where I was like, hey man, like you better be nice, like I'll send you over to Jasmine's and you'll get electrocuted for dinner at Wonderland. Because he would come and he'd, like really peck me. And so I started wearing boots and trying to, anyway, that went on for like maybe, a week. I mean, since we found out that he was rooster to this time, it was all happening kind of fast. And then he started to mellow out again right before we left for this trip. But there was, a couple times where I had the thought run through my head of like, okay, if you stay aggressive and you continue to attack me and you start attacking other people that come, like we might just have to make you into feathers and somebody's dinner.
No.
And but I was willing to work with Pinguino, and
she would have never done it.
And we were but I told Pinguino, I was like, you watch out. But Pinguino attacked Ken.
Yeah, it was a very strange attack. It's just, I was walking away from him, I felt something land on the back of my leg, and I turned around, it was him, and he was walking away like, oh, nothing's happening here. And he just jumped on the back of my leg. He didn't peck me or scratch me.
He
it was the most bizarre thing ever. Oh well.
Yeah, he was going through a phase, yeah. And I swear, like the day before we left for our trip, he had just started to calm down again. And if I was spending time with him, even though he was kind of aggressive at first, like he was like, "Oh yeah, that's right, you're my mom." So it was very sad to lose him. And so, but now I do have a bunch of beautiful pinguino feathers, even though that's not the way that I was hoping to get them. I was willing to be patient, and I had already collected a bunch from Pinguino where they just lose their feathers, and so I had been collecting them because he had the most beautiful feathers. And so now I'm gonna figure we're gonna do a service for them soon.
And now,
you'll obviously be updated.
And now the two of them live on in our new hen.
That's right.
Which is named Elaine.
Yes.
For her peculiar Elaine dance she seems to do.
Yeah, but who is Elaine that we're referring to?
Elaine from Seinfeld.
Yeah, so anyone that has followed Seinfeld, back then, now, knows that Elaine, the character, like she was known, especially for one particular episode at like a Christmas party or something.
Doing some funny dance while she
was
drunk.
So our Elaine does like this like really wait.
Yeah.
Like it's totally different than the other chickens. Anyway, she's the sister to the other new chickens that we got.
So we have 4 sisters.
Yeah, we have 4 sisters. But the interesting thing is that, you can, like if they get separated, I don't know if they remember each other exactly. So one of her sisters started attacking her today, but I think it's because Butterscotch is in love with Rick, the rooster, and was like, "Get off of my man." So like we put Elaine in with all of them, and then Rick, as a rooster, immediately started doing his rooster thing. And, it was the first time that I noticed that like he bites the crest of the other hen and does his thing. And anyway, he was giving Elaine a lot of attention, and I think Butterscotch was jealous and ended up pecking Elaine. So we put Rick and Butterscotch together, and I have a picture that I posted, and you can see it in Butterscotch's eyes. Like, that's right, this is my man, and I'm with him. And
all right.
And we almost lost Elaine last night. It was really traumatic, and Ken had...
Stay out of the sun.
I know, I'm sorry. See, we tried to do the other time, and a half hour can make a huge difference because we're starting to get hit by the sun. But tell the story of last night when we went to pick her up.
Well, we picked her up at our friend's house in a box, and then we went to transfer her to the little chicken enclosure, the little house, and she jumps out immediately. And so for a chicken to jump out immediately at a new place, we were just never going to catch her because she doesn't know where she gets fed from. And I start freaking out, "Honey, what are you doing?" Ah! So then she's jumping, and it looks like her leg's broken, and I'm like, "Oh no, they gave us a bad one. They gave us an injured one. What's happening?" So it turns out they had tied her legs together so that she couldn't escape, and everything worked out fine.
Yes. So poor Ken had been on the phone while we were picking up Elaine, and did not see the presentation of the chicken where it was very evident, and where they actually said, like, "And we're tying the legs together, and it'll be easy for you to pull it off." And I have to say, I was very impressed that she has clipped wings too. Her sisters don't, but for some reason her wings are clipped. And for having clipped wings and her legs tied together, that girl got herself around. I did for a second, because I didn't realize Ken didn't know that her legs weren't tied together. So I thought maybe her legs had like become untied, and I was kind of freaking out myself just a little bit.
Yeah.
And honestly, she was like playing dead when we opened up the box, and so I was kind of like, I don't know what I was doing, but all of a sudden she just jumps out of the box, and it was very scary. But we got her in, she's doing well. We didn't have a name for her last night, but it was revealed to us today when we saw her dance.
All right.
So, yes, as promised, today's update was all about chickens, and we will continue on next week and maybe talk about grow jungles.
Okay. All right. For my beautiful wife, Giovanna. I'm Ken Jordan. This is Farm Talk Friday. See you next
How
week.
do you like Peter was on?
All
Bye,